The holding cell aboard the Kralix detention station hummed with the dull vibration of artificial gravity generators. Ava sat cross-legged on the cold metal floor, her breathing steady despite the purple bruise blooming across her left cheekbone. Her brown eyes tracked the 4 Kralix guards circling her like predators who'd forgotten what Apex looked like. "Deathworlder scum," hissed Guard Captain Zethkor, his mandibles clicking with amusement. "Your kind thinks you're so superior. Let's see how superior you feel now." Ava said nothing. She'd learned long ago that silence unnerved aliens more than threats ever could. The station's surveillance system flickered. In the security room 3 decks away, Monitor Officer Plixon frowned at his screens. Cell 7 Delta's feed was cutting in and out, pixels fragmenting into digital snow. He tapped the console, but the interference only worsened. Back in the cell, Zethkor raised his shock baton. "No cameras to witness. No crew to interfere. Just you and us, human." Eva's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "You're wrong about that. The first strike never landed." Across the station in the cargo bay, Luis was exactly where he needed to be. His fingers danced across a stolen access pad, the device he'd cobbled together from spare parts humming softly. The Kralix had made their first mistake when they'd arrested Eva on false charges of smuggling. Their second mistake was separating her from her crew. Their third and final mistake was underestimating what a human engineer could do with 4 hours and a deep understanding of Kralix security protocols. Come on, Luis muttered, watching lines of alien code scroll across his makeshift screen. "Show me where they took you." The station's mainframe was elegant in its simplicity. The Kralix had never needed sophisticated security. In a galaxy where most species were fragile, where bone density was low and pain thresholds lower, the mere threat of violence was usually enough. They'd never encountered a species that had crawled up from a gravity well that crushed lesser beings, that had survived ice ages and predators and 10,000 years of warfare. Against their own kind, they'd never met humans before. Luis found Cell 7 Delta's location and felt his blood run cold at what the surveillance logs showed. The guards had disabled the cameras manually, but not before he'd seen them enter Eva's cell with weapons drawn and cruelty in their compound eyes. His jaw clenched. They thought they could hide what they were doing. They thought no one would see. They were wrong. Luis's fingers flew faster. He bypassed the camera system entirely and dove straight into the station's environmental controls. Every door, every vent, every sensor, all of it was connected. And if there was one thing humans had perfected over millennia of evolution, it was turning their environment into a weapon. In Cell 7 Delta, Zethkor swung his baton again. Ava rolled aside with practiced ease, her Deathworld reflexes making the guard's movement seem sluggish. She came up in a crouch and something flickered in her eyes. A calculation, a weighing of odds. "You know what the problem with bullies is?" Ava said softly. "You only pick fights you think you can win." The cell's temperature suddenly plummeted. Frost began forming on the walls. The Kralix guards stumbled, their cold-blooded bodies immediately sluggish. Emergency lights bathed everything in red. What's happening?" one guard stammered. Eva stood slowly, her breath misting in the frigid air. Humans had evolved to survive in environments that would kill most galactic species. Cold, her ancestors had crossed the Bering Strait in the Ice Age. The cell door hissed open. Luis stood in the doorway, his access pad glowing in his hand, his expression carved from stone. "You wanted no witnesses?" Luis said, his voice quiet and infinitely dangerous. "You disabled the cameras, smart, but you forgot humans don't need cameras to see injustice. We have something better. We have each other." Zethkor tried to raise his weapon, but his limbs were already stiffening from the cold. You can't what?" Ava stepped forward and the guards instinctively retreated. "Can't survive what would kill you? Can't adapt? Can't overcome?" She tilted her head. "You really don't know anything about Deathworlders, do you?" Luis tapped his pad. Throughout the station, every screen, every monitor, every communication panel suddenly flickered to life. The footage he'd recovered, the guards entering Ava's cell, the raised weapons, the intent to harm, played on loop for every crew member to see. "The cameras refused to watch," Luis said. "But I made them remember." Within minutes, the station's legitimate security forces arrived. The Kralix Confederacy took crimes against detainees seriously, when there was evidence. And now there was evidence everywhere. As Zethkor and his guards were led away in restraints, the station commander approached Eva and Luis. His translator crackled with formal apology. With promises of investigation with compensation, Eva just nodded tiredly. Luis put a steadying hand on her shoulder. Later, back on their ship as they broke orbit from the Kralik station, Eva finally spoke. They thought they could hurt me where no one would see. Luis adjusted their course for home. They forgot that humans have spent our entire existence watching out for each other. Even when the cameras won't, especially then. Eva smiled, genuine this time. HFY. HFY, Luis agreed. Behind them, the stars stretched infinite and cold. But inside their small ship, there was warmth and safety, and the unbreakable certainty that no human ever truly stood alone, not while another human drew breath. That was the lesson the galaxy was still learning. Humans didn't just survive the impossible. They made sure their own survived too, no matter who tried to hurt them in the dark.